Hi everyone, in this video we will gain the conceptual understanding of React. Conceptual understanding of something is really important because when you work on a real project or industry, then 10% of the time you are writing the code, or 90% of the time you are understanding someone else's code, or you are debugging it. If you don't have the conceptual understanding, then you will take a lot of time. You will get frustrated and you will not getting the answer. So in that process, I think having a good understanding of your foundation, how things work, is really important. So that's why in this video I will try to cover that. I am taking an example of amazon.com. So let's say you are on the home page of Amazon and you see different kind of product, let's say sunglasses, shampoo, books, and there is a add to cart button there for each product. Let's say you are added two products, sunglasses and shampoo. Then you went to the add to cart page. So in add to cart page, this is the main component, and these are also made by the single component but with the different value. The component look like this: id, name and price. So for sunglasses, id will be different and name will be different, and shampoo also. Maybe price can be same but id and name should be different. Maybe in some cases name also same but id most of the time, is unique. So this is the parent component and these are the child component of it. So how can you understand components? So components basically equivalent to class, right? So you make class on the basis of, you make object on the basis of your class. So class considered as your blueprint. So this is like the class, and this is the kind of blueprint, and you are making a different object like sunglasses. This is considered like uh, these are the be considered as object, like in a layman term. So in every object, what is changing? Basically these are the things changing, right? But the structure will be the same. So that's why we do not write individual component for this, because everything is same, just name and id is changing, right? Now coming to this example, so you are having this product component, right? And initially you are having an empty array, and this array will hold the object, array of object. It has different kind of object. Same kind of object, but the number will be different. Let's say 100 object, 200 object, right? So how will you fill that object? So you need a API. So through API, this client server will make a request to the backend server so that they can give the data. And for making that request, they need a API so that they can fetch the data. So basically, you will require a API, or like the URL that will fetch the data with the help of fetch, right? So the data in API will look like this. You will be having a JSON object, JSON data type, and you are having different kind of object 1 and then object 2. Then you are having these three things: id, name and price. Maybe more than three things, but we need only three: name, id, price, and then. So this API holds the data like this, right? Now this will fetch the data, and what you need to do is you need to copy this data into your product array, so that initially it was empty, now it will be filled with object, right? Now in the return part, you are returning, like if you wanted to print the object in your browser, then you need to do a map, because it is an array, and in JavaScript we usually use map to print uh, the thing inside the array. So you are using a map and you are printing its id and name. And so let's say you started at this point, right? At this point, now you came to this point, right? Now you came to this point, now you came to this point, right? But these are the synchronous, but this is asynchronous. So it will run parallelly, and this will not got disrupted. It will also continuously run, and it will came to this point, right? And this will actually runs inside a event queue. right? So it is also running and it will try to fetch the data. It is asynchronous because it will take some time to get the data from the backend server. So it is also running simultaneously, but this will give the data in the end of the function ending, right? So you came to this point and now you came to this point, right? Now you are trying to doing a loop kind of thing to print the data on your uh, browser, and this is your, let's say, your console. Now at this point you will not be able to see the data. That is the main crux of this video. Why? Because this kind of thing is still under process, and this will happen after the end of this. Now you came at this point. Now you will not be able to see anything on your browser. Why? Because your array is empty. But when you reach at the end, now the process is done, you able to fetch the data. Now you copied the data. So in the console part you will be able to see the data like object, right? But in the browser part still it is empty because it is it become like when you are at this point only, then only you will be able to see the data. But you came out like you came forward from this point. Now what you can do to print this thing on the browser? So what you do, maybe you can do a recursive call. You can call this function like this, product again, so that in the second go you are having the data in your product, so that it can display when it come to this part. But we usually don't do this kind of recursive thing because it will take a lot of time. So that's why we require use state, right? So first we import the use state, right? Now from the React module. Now, so what we need to do, in spite of this, we will write like this. So use state is a function that takes anything. So initially we are having the empty array, and we want it will return two things in an array, that is the current state of the array, that is, let's say, data, and then second is the function that will set the data entry dynamically, set data, right? So initially you are having an empty array. Now you came to this point, right? Again you are at this point. Now at this point, now you came to this point. Now you came to this fetch, right? So again you came to this point, so it will go into event loop. Now so simultaneously it will try to fetch the data, and you came to this point, right? Now you came, still it is empty, but you came at the end of it, right? Now see, when you fetch the data, then initially it was empty, but in the end it become you but like in this also we need to change it, like we need to set it, because array initially empty, we need to set the data. So set data, then so it will copy the thing that the API gives in the empty array. So when you reach at the end, and when it will ended up, I mean it will be successfully able to get the data, then there is a state change because it was initially empty, and when the data is copied, I mean in this array, then there is a state change. When there is a state change, then the use state re-render the component, I mean it will again call the function. So now you are having the data in your product in this array. So when you come for the second time, then again you are making a fetch API. So now this time you are having the data in this, so you are able to see the product like this. But again when you reach at the end, so this will end up. Now again there is a state change, so again there is a rendering. So many times the rendering will happen, because every time at the end the fetch API try to call the product, try to call the API, and then every time you are getting a data. So there are lots of time your fetch API is calling, re-rendering the component. So that's why you see lot of time you are able to see this data. So how to control this? To control this, we will use effect. So what we can do, basically what we do, we will put this thing inside use effect. So basically use effect, what it will do, it will take two things. The first thing is callback. So in this callback I will put this thing, let's say this is k, so I will put this thing inside it, and then in the second part it will take an array. It can be empty, it can be anything. So if you wanted to get rid out of it, then you need to use this thing. If you are using an empty array, it means it will only run this thing for a single time, right? So you are calling the fetch API for the single time if your array is empty. If you put the data in it, it means every time the data is changing, you are calling this. So that's why use state is used for rendering, and use effect is used for so many things. I will cover it later part, but in this example it is used for conditional rendering. I mean, you put it the condition in it. I hope you got your thing, because in the first go, I will summarize it. In the first go, it is running behind it, and that point of time you are not having something in your in this thing, so you will not see anything on your browser. But once it finished, but you reach at the end, so you will not be able to print it out. So what you need to do, you need to call it again. So either you can do it a recursive call, or you will use state, because when the at the end you are having the, you are getting the data, so you are also copying the data into this. So there is a state change, so it will again re-render means calling the function again. So re-rendering, for re-rendering we use state. For conditional rendering, or there are so many things that use effect is used for, but we will not cover this part. But this is the conceptual understanding I wanted to provide you. For more video I will be trying to come up like this only. So thank you.